Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, as you can see by the screen, if you're on YouTube, it's bracket prediction time. The whole episode is pretty much going to be dedicated to that. We have like a piece or two of news we want to talk about, but with it heading into the major, we obviously don't really have roster change news or other stuff that we really want to focus on. It's major weekend. It's time to talk about predictions, really deep dive, and see if one of Brock or I can actually put together a decent bracket. We'll talk a little bit about the standings. Maybe we'll talk about the standings a little bit next video. I didn't really tally them up, but we know I ended up coming out on top because I only got one match wrong this weekend. I got that Boston versus New York match wrong on the weekend, but it was a crazy weekend of predictions. I ended up going like what was it, like almost like 28 of my last 30 matches, Brock, something like that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, we went on like a crazy run. I will never have a run this good at predicting anything in my life. It's a combination of watching matches and a lot of luck, because it is when you start to get to the point where you're predicting like a 95+% of matches right at some point, that's a lot of luck because it's absurd and COD is not that predictable. So we'll just jump into our predictions. Brock and I have both had brutal brackets this year. I don't think either of us has even had like a decent bracket. Majors have been tough to predict this year.
Yeah, they've been wonky.
Yeah, we've had some tough brackets. We pick OpTic when they get top 12, and then we like don't pick Faze when they finally win. We pick them to get like top 6. So it's been rough. You can see in the screen we're going to do that. If you guys enjoy this one on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on the audio platforms, drop that follow, drop that 5-star review. On the Spotify for podcasters they do have a little section where now I can see Spotify followers. So that's like subscriber, and I think we're like just crossed over like 500 on there, which is like a newer platform. So I see it go up like 10 to 20 followers every time. So you guys are killing it over there on Spotify. You're really hitting the follow button a lot. So we appreciate that. Let's jump into it though. Brock, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Besides, it was 70 on Saturday in Wisconsin. Now it's 32 out. Wonderful.
Yeah, thankfully we're not where Vivid is though. I believe he's in like northeast or northwest Wisconsin, and we're like basically in like kind of like east, like northeast a little bit, and we didn't get really any snow. We're just cold. Vivid got like, I heard they got like over a foot of snow over there where I used to go to college, near La Crosse, Wisconsin. So that is tough because over a foot of snow at this time of year when we're almost into May is brutal. So thankfully we're not where Reese Vivid is over there.
Yeah, just when you think the snow is gone, it just comes out of nowhere again.
As I just look to my right out our window, and I see a little bit of flurries, but
yeah,
too warm for them to stick. But let's jump into this bracket. We're gonna have you go first. I think I went first last major. I honestly can't remember, but it doesn't really matter. We both kind of have our thoughts in mind. It's not really gonna change what we want to do. But the first bracket we make here on the screen going to be yours. Actually, let's talk about champs.
Yeah,
I was going to say let's jump into it, but champs, I think both of us are not the happiest with the way things played out, and it's kind of a rant from both of us. It's like, why do they wait so long to tell us where it is? Like, we knew it was probably going to be in Vegas. It's been rumored for so long, but they make it so difficult to make travel plans because, like, sure, we know it's in Vegas, but we don't know the dates. And based on when the final major was, our guess was like the weekend of the 9th of June. And we were wrong. We were off by a week.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really make travel plans because if we would have booked a flight for that time, we would have been wrong, and then we would have been screwed. And you can't, book our hotel because you don't want to book a hotel for the wrong days or an Airbnb or whatever we're going to book. And obviously, being in Wisconsin, can't exactly drive over to Nevada, so we're going to need a flight. Book an Airbnb for those days, and it is happening on the weekend of June 15th through the 19th, which is 2 months away, basically to the day, maybe a little bit less than 2 months away. So it's brutal. Flights, we were looking like flights at the time, roughly could have got them for like $200 to $300 back then. Now can't get it for cheaper than $500. So flights have doubled in price, and it's just the CDL needs to do a better job. Could you imagine the NFL telling us where the Super Bowl was going to be at the end of the regular season?
Yeah,
that'd basically be the time frame because the playoffs are like a month and a half long.
Yeah.
So that, or like the NBA, if they had a neutral site after like the end of the first round, being like, by the way, here the finals are. They're happening in Chicago or something.
Yeah, it's just
like
it's
it's
tough
insane.
to plan around overall, especially like with the work and trying to get off and all that.
Yeah, like unless you just happen to be lucky enough to be in the area, which like the only way we could do that being in Wisconsin is like if we went to Chicago. That's probably the closest it would come to this area. Maybe Minneapolis, but I don't know if they would go there because it seems like they're trying to avoid having teams at home. But then obviously they put in Vegas, and now Vegas might make it.
Oh, they will make it.
Yeah. So that was a quick rant. I think we're both on the same page with that. It's like CDL, you got to get your shit together. You got to
Yeah.
tell us at the start of the season when you announce the locations for the majors, you got to tell us where champs is. Tell us the weekend, tell us the dates. Like you had teams like 12 teams paid 25 million. Some teams even paid more to get in, like Thieves, when they get in. Like this league has over $300 million in investments in it. You got to be able to tell us more than 2 months in advance where champs is. When that announcement hits on the game launch in November, I should be able to know where champs is going to be 6, 7, 8 months later.
Yeah, it would help out a lot of people, especially with plans and all that.
I bet you'd sell more tickets too, because I guarantee you, if we knew where champs was in the beginning of the year, we'd be buying our tickets. Now we're not sure because I'm already going on a trip in July. I went on a trip earlier. I had a lot of vacations planned this year, and I kind of had this one, planned in, but the prices we'd have to pay to go are like insane because of how long they waited. So I'm kind of like, maybe I'll save it this year, watch champs from home, and go. Hopefully, if they tell us earlier, if it comes a little closer. But yeah, that's a rant. CDL, you got to get your shit together if you're hearing this. And you got to tell us when champs is earlier. Just like how we know where the majors are right away. Now, knowing this, if they would knowing that they would have taken this long, we probably would have gone to like the OpTic major or something.
Yeah, literally.
So that's a little annoying. And maybe in the future, if they're not telling us where champs is, we're just gonna have to start going to one major a year instead of champs.
Yeah, just bummer.
Yeah, so that is unfortunate. I wanted to flame the CDL a little bit, but now it's time to make some predictions. That's really all we had for news. Is like little pieces of news, but nothing too notable that we want to cover up the predictions with. So I've got the bracket on the screen. We're gonna have Brock go first. If he wants my opinion or like my thoughts on a pick, I'll maybe offer something here and there. But obviously, I'm gonna make my own bracket after that. So kind of gonna let Brock run the show. I'm gonna fill out the bracket for him on the screen. Then we're gonna erase it and let me do my bracket. So Brock, take it away. Starting with winners round 1 at the top. OpTic versus Boston.
OpTic in Boston. The little brother Boston breed just can never get over OpTic.
Hey, they beat him last major.
Yeah.
Winners round 1.
Yeah, true. But when it matters most, I guess.
That was before the. I mean, they were like the start of OpTic's run. They lost to them, and then from there on out, OpTic's been unreal.
Yeah. OpTic right now, Boston, little shaky, but they have crimp, so I would take OpTic since they're so good at hardpoint. Just about anything besides control, roughly.
And Boston's kind of limping into this event too.
Yeah, especially the way they lost in triple hotel yesterday.
Yeah, demoralizing.
Yeah, I'll take OpTic 3-1.
Okay, and then we go on to New York versus Legion, the 4 versus 5 matchup.
This will be a good matchup for our friends, you would say.
Yeah. How unlucky is it for Legion? They're the 5 seed in this one, correct? Right? New York's 4.
I believe so, yes.
How unlucky is it for Legion that they finally go 4-1 and they still can't get like the veto advantage in Series 1 because they get a 5 seed after going 4-1?
Yeah.
That's unreal. That's so unlucky.
Yeah, just crazy to think about. But Vegas boys pulling through in the game 5 search.
Think so? 3-2 Vegas?
Yeah, 3-2 Vegas.
All right, I like it.
I guess we would call it an upset since it's Vegas still.
I'd say Vegas winning really anything in this winner's bracket would be an upset. Because they're hot right now, but I guess maybe if they would like play like Rock or something, maybe not. But
yeah,
I'd say anything for them really is an upset against top teams.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then we move on to Thieves Rocker.
Man, Rocker can't even win a map against the Thieves.
No, they can't.
So I'm going 3-0. The LA Thieves, pretty simple.
Yeah, that's a relatively easy one. I feel like can you see a world where Rocker win? I feel like I can, but nowhere close enough for me to predict them to win.
Yeah.
I'm playing my cards or showing my cards a little bit here, but does anybody really expect us to pick Rocker? It's tough. I mean, like you said, they haven't won a single map against Thieves, so I'm not going to predict them to win 3 in one series.
Yeah.
All right, then we got the classic matchup, Rock.
Matchup
is this arguably the best matchup in the CDL? Like, there is OpTic Faze, but that's been extremely one-sided. Like, I don't know about you, but like if I'm gonna see any 2 teams square off, really since like Cold War when the upset happened at the major, like Surge versus Faze is like the matchup I look forward to more than any matchup.
Probably I would say the matchup of the CDL. Just
Or
always
if not, it's like a top 3 matchup.
Yeah, it always goes like at least 5, I swear, every time.
Yeah, or even when it's a 3-0 like it was this weekend, it's an entertaining 3-0.
Yeah. Or maybe, I mean, OpTic and Thieves, but like I guess like one of those always blows each other out, like 3-0 or 3-1.
Seems like one's in really good form and the other's struggling. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
This Surge Faze matchup, it's like even if Faze is going in on their top form and Surge looks rough, like something about Surge just always has their number and forces like a game 5 or like keeps it closer. What always seems to happen, at least like in my memory, is somebody gets up 2-0 and then we have a game 5 like every time.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
And then Pred gets shotgunned, and you know what happens after that.
Yeah, he's a hell of a nightmare still. Just with the update. Too.
Yeah, the hipfire update.
Yep. I'll go with the Seattle Surge goes up 2-0 and then gets reverse swept 3-2 Faze.
Oh, so we're not gonna have to see that graphic anymore on the CDL stream. No reverse sweep since January 29th. They keep showing that.
Yep.
I think Faze is gonna reverse sweep. Okay, I like it. We might have a similar bracket. We'll have to see when I get up there, but that brings us down to elimination round 1, where we get a spicy matchup in the first one. A team that I would consider probably a top 6 team is going home top 12. And that honestly doesn't. That's regardless of what happens with the OpTic versus Boston match, because obviously OpTic is also a top 6 team right now. So if they were to lose to Boston and go down and play Ultra, Boston, Ultra, and OpTic are all probably top 6 teams, right? I mean, looking at the bracket here, our top 6 teams coming into this major are probably what? OpTic, Thieves, Faze, Surge, maybe Subliners, and Ultra. Maybe Vegas are up there. But either way, these are 2 top 8 teams that are going to play. 2 teams that we would consider like contending type teams. One of them is going to go home top 12 and have some big questions heading into champs. And who do you think it's going to be? Breach or Ultra?
Ultra is going to get back on track. Backs against the wall and win a game 5 against Boston Breach.
Okay. That's a tough pill to swallow for Boston. Bench Vivid and get top 12?
It is, but growing pains.
Unlucky bracket for them, though, to have to play OpTic, and then if you lose, you got to go play Ultra. Regardless of Ultra went 1-4, I don't think anybody thinks they're just like some pushover team. They're still a tough team to beat.
Yeah, and Beans like struggled. I feel like every time he plays Ultra, especially Scrappy.
Yeah, there's that rivalry there for sure. All right, then we move on to New York versus Florida. One of our 2 0-5 teams in this split in Florida faces off against a New York team. I mean, if this is the case, New York's kind of coming off being upset again in winners round 1, which has been a trend for them now in recent majors.
It is, but Florida, they're just showing up to show up because I have to. I feel like vibes are pretty low. 0-5. They're gonna get bounced out 3-1 and win the search.
Okay, I don't hate it, but dude, for whatever reason, I know Florida sucks. Like they suck. I'm not trying to like make a point that they're good or something, but like them and LAG have a completely different vibe to me. Like when I see Florida, I still see like a world where like Cap and Vickle could pop off in a series and keep it close, or like the veteran play of Fellow in Search and Destroy could get them a Neslo maybe, and Brack's not a bad player. Like when I look at them, I'm like, I see a world where they could upset New York or Vegas if they come down here. Like I wouldn't be completely shocked to see Florida win a series, but like LAG, if they beat Surge or Faze, I will literally be dumbfounded. Like,
yeah,
you have the same opinion? Like Florida, like would you be completely mind blown if they won?
I'd be kind of like a little bit shocked, but I wouldn't be.
Yeah, it would be surprising, but like if Florida beats Vegas in losers round 1, I'm not going to be like completely like blown away by that. Like I would be if LAG were to beat Surge or Faze.
Yeah, it is a different 0-5 vibe from each team.
I mean, they're both dead for champs, but one of them is like slightly more alive in this major to win a match or 2.
Yeah.
All right. We moved on to the bottom half where we got Rocker versus London. This is a big match, especially if your bracket plays out how you have it right now, because Vegas is still alive in winners where Rocker could get eliminated without getting a single point. So this is a very big match.
That'd be the
in
best
terms of champs qualifier
for Vegas.
Yeah.
I do think Rocker they get it together, and they beat the London Royal Ravens 3-1.
Okay. I think that's definitely a fair take. Interestingly enough, for Rocker, they went 2-3 this stage. Their only 2 wins were against Florida and LAG on land when we were there, and then
Yeah, the home crowd, the land
the best
buff.
part about it is they beat Florida and LAG, who went a combined 0-10
Yeah, that's
in this stage.
the wins aren't very good, but they're wins. So
They counted for CDL points, and I guess that's really all that matters.
yeah, but if Rocker does end up losing, something's got to change again. I want attach back.
I want attach back on the AR because I don't think they're going to go outside the camp. They spent a lot of money already. It sounds like on this roster.
Yeah,
I think they're pretty tapped out for like cap space for the year. But yeah, if they do get double first rounded, I want attach back in for Bance, and I want Fame on a sub. Fame was because I don't think they'll pick up anybody outside the organization, and Fame was a sub in challengers, so it makes no sense for him to. That's what I said when he was coming in. I thought he was going to be a sub.
Yeah,
and then move Bance to the flex or something. But I think it's got to be Fame and Afro on your subs, and you got to bring Attach and Cammy back at the ARs, and you got to run it like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't think they're going to go outside the camp. Or you could bring like Real in as a sub, see if he could do something for you.
That is possible, yeah.
But you got Rocker not losing here, winning 3-1. Yep. And then we go to Surge versus LAG. Are you going to, pick your boys to pull off the Crazies upset, or are you going to have Surge moving on?
I am not picking my LAG Gorillas to pull off anything but showing up to the place and getting 3 out. That's out Surge.
That sounds about right.
Unless Joe Deceives goes crazy like at the Madison.
Yeah, I mean that's like the LAG signature. Have somebody go absolutely crazy on a map and lose.
Mm-hmm. It was LSC controlled twice now. It was Joe and then it was Assault.
Joe went nuclear and they lost, and then Assault went nuclear and they lost. They just like to have somebody feel just like they got sold completely.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah. They're chalk for the year. Tough. It's over. They're just showing up.
So unfortunate. What a terrible position for them to be in. RC's just so excited about moving to that camp and the organization, and then the whole org around him fell apart and started laying everybody off, and can't make a roster change because they don't have any employees, and it's a tough situation. Unfortunately, I feel really bad for the players, actually. Like, I genuinely feel bad for them. That's a really sucky thing, and like Exceed tweeted how much he was going through it. I actually genuinely feel bad for the players because I can't imagine how tough it is on their mental. Like, this isn't like a trolley. Like, genuinely, I can't imagine how tough that is on their mental. It's got to be like brutal.
Yeah, literally just no control in their hands. Very unlucky.
Yeah, like you just keep losing and you want to make a change, but guess what? You have nobody to go to make that change because you don't have an org backing you. Like, that has got to be just brutal.
And especially with the Arcitys too, he thought he was gonna go to maybe OpTic potentially, and they blocked it. I heard.
Yeah, they blocked it from going there, and now for no reason because they obviously could have used the money to sell him to OpTic.
Yeah, so I just very unlucky, unfortunate for LAG.
Very unfortunate. But now moving on to let's go to Elim round 2. Toronto with the gauntlet. This top half of the elimination bracket is going to be brutal because New York or Vegas are going to drop down, who are both good teams, and then either Boston or OpTic are going to drop down into this portion. That is a brutal part of the bracket. And in your case, you've got Ultra versus Subliners, another very good team going to be eliminated top 8.
Yeah. Man. I'm picking Toronto Ultra 3-1. The Subliners just don't. Ever since their major win, it's really impressed me after that.
Yeah, they'll just like beat teams that they're better than, but I don't know. There's just something about them. They don't feel like they have that like same it factor to them. It's like it's an intangible or like an unexplainable thing that, at least for me, I don't know what it is for you, but for me, it's like, I don't know, something about New York is like they just don't have that, like, I just don't feel that run in them. Now watch, they'll probably win the major after I say that, but like, it just doesn't feel like Toronto. I don't know, maybe this is how you feel too, but like I feel like Toronto could make a run, even though they went 1-4. But like Subliners, I don't know. They have the talent for sure, but I don't know, just something about them, just weird.
Yeah, just like if they aren't all on the cylinders each day.
Yeah.
I just
They're
don't
not
have.
firing on everything. It's like, I don't really like Hydra's got to pop off.
Yeah.
We haven't seen 99 kids, which is why they maybe won that first event.
Just underwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah. Speaking of underwhelming, Rocker played in the other Elim round 2 match versus the Surge. You think they can pull off the upset and keep in stride with Vegas, or we got Surge taking them out and sending them home here?
It's just very unfortunate for Rocker because they have against Kobe and Shaq and they're losing 3-1.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
give them one,
I
but I don't know which one is gonna be. But I'll give them one.
probably not the Surge because they suck at that mode somehow. That's a tough situation though, because I think in all likelihood, the only way that they have a decent run here at the majors is if they do win that first match. But like we said, they're 0-12 against Thieves in map count, so don't see that happening. And then they get to fall down and play London. But once again, I don't think them beating London's a guarantee. London looked decent against OpTic on land last time. Like I think you would agree. It's not a for sure thing. Minnesota's not just going to run over London. London could easily beat them.
London is scrappy.
Yeah,
scrappy team.
London could easily beat them, and then for Minnesota, regardless, I think the highest they can get is top 8 because there's zero chance they're beating Seattle or Atlanta, whoever is down there.
Yeah, unless like Cammy goes back to Cold War and
even that might not be enough.
All the other players start doing like Bance goes back to Cold War major when they won the major at Toronto.
Yeah,
Need it all.
That's what they're gonna need.
They need everyone to pop off 1.3s, but yeah, I don't think that's happening.
All right, yeah, I agree. Let's hop back up to the winners bracket. You know, the top 4 up here in the winners bracket that everybody always expects. You know, Thieves, OpTic, Faze, and Legion.
Yep.
Talk about how weird this is. This is the first time not only that we've seen them in winners round 2, but this is the first time we've ever seen them in the winners bracket. That's an absurd thing to think about. I mean, it makes sense because they've always sucked, but it's just absurd to think about.
Like 3 years still.
Yeah, the Clayster effect is crazy.
Yeah, every team he goes to, you know, he's diffy. All right, OpTic and Legion. I would be taking OpTic 3-2 in a scrappy fight.
Who you think they're able to take out our maybe best search and destroy team or top 2 search and destroy team in a map 5?
I do think so. Both teams are pretty damn good at search.
Yeah, OpTic is definitely very good at search, but Vegas, it's also, I'd say Hardpoint is definitely OpTic's bread and butter, and search is definitely Vegas's. You think it's a OpTic win 1-4-5? Or is Vegas able to take control, or you think maybe Vegas takes a Hardpoint off them, or?
Yeah, I think it'll be Vegas win the search for search, push out the control because they're both really not very great at control right now.
That is true.
And then lose game 5 in a pretty close series. Hopefully round 11.
Hopefully round 11. If it goes to round 11 OpTic, they don't like that. I don't remember if they won their last one, but I do remember the last time they were in around 11, it pulled up that they were like 1-8 on the year in round 11. So OpTic is hoping it doesn't go to round 11 because they suck at those.
Then you get the ice some way or another.
Yeah. All right, we got a battle of our Vanguard Champs final. 2 teams that, you know, no matter how much they look rough, they do hate each other, you know, but no matter how much they look rough, it's like when it comes down to Sunday, if they're in the final, you're never shocked. It's Thieves and Faze, just 2 staples of what it is to be a good CDL team. Facing off, battle of the red teams, winners round 2. Who you got? I think Faze avenges that Vanguard Champs loss, or Thieves keeps it going, makes a fun winner. I mean, either way, this will be a fun winners finals. OpTic versus either Thieves or Faze.
Yeah. I do think the Thieves will get the better end of the stick in this moment.
Okay.
It's gonna be a close 3-2
for Faze. You said, or for Thieves? I mean,
for Thieves, and I think the Thieves are gonna smoke them in game 5. I don't know why.
Like a 6-1, 6-0, 6-2, something like that.
Yeah, like 6-2. We'll go with that.
Okay, I like it. You're going a little bold. It's not crazy, but
shooting bodies. I want to see it because they hate each other.
Draza.
Yep, Draza and Simp.
All right, I don't mind it. I think it's definitely a valid pick. But that sends Faze down to the losers bracket to play Toronto, and I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say if your bracket happens and Toronto like runs it, this is gonna be the greatest losers bracket of all time. Losers run. Because
Good
good
teams.
lord, like let's say you pick Seattle to win, they would have to beat Boston, New York, Faze, then Seattle, and then the loser of OpTic versus Thieves, and then okay, just like let's say you have Seattle win, and then you have like OpTic lose to Thieves. Ultra would have to beat Boston, New York, Faze, Seattle, OpTic, and then Thieves to win a championship. That would be the best run of all time.
It would. That's so many good teams.
They don't even get a match off. They don't get like a London or a Minnesota or an LAG or a Florida. They don't get any like matches off. They just play brutal team after brutal team.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. But who you got? Ultra versus Faze, a classic matchup that Faze always wins except for last major when Ultra beat them.
Except for the last major, which Ultra won.
Yeah.
But let's get back to business. Faze is gonna win 3-1, whereas knocks Ultra out.
Okay. We're gonna have a lot of good teams facing tough decisions because of this upper half of the losers bracket.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have a good team get eliminated top 12, a good team get eliminated top 8, and another very good team get eliminated top 6.
Yeah, jeez.
All right. Bottom half of the losers bracket, though, where things are maybe a little weaker, we get Surge versus Vegas. This would be a very big match for Vegas because they would get to keep extending that lead over Minnesota, who had got eliminated in the last round. But also, this bracket is setting up for a potential Minnesota versus Vegas matchup here if things get weird, which would be a crazy one, obviously.
Yeah.
But who you got? You think Vegas keep the Cinderella run to top 4 alive and make it to a Sunday finally, or you think Surge take them out?
This is a tough one. I'm going Vegas in a game 5.
Okay. Vegas makes their first Sunday ever.
Everyone's firing all cylinders. They beat the Surge just to play Faze.
Just to play Faze in elimination round 4 for a top 3 finish at minimum. Does Vegas keep the Cinderella run going? Are they able to take out Faze, or is this where things end for them?
You know, I really wanted to pick Vegas, but like I just don't think they're gonna beat Faze, unfortunately. It is like kind of like Clayster used to play for Faze, maybe kind of like a revenge, but not really.
Yeah, way back in the IW days.
Yeah, but this is where the Vegas run ends for now. They lose to Atlanta Faze 3-1, and they win the search.
3-1, winning a search. This is a series to watch for Search to Destroy because it's probably our 2 best search teams.
Mm-hmm.
That takes us up to winners finals, where you've got a fun top 3: OpTic, Thieves, and Faze. I could just tell you based on what I'm kind of initially thinking, we are going to have different brackets this time, much more different than last time, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But you've got OpTic versus Thieves in the winners finals, a classic matchup that, like we said, tends to be a blowout for some reason for whatever side wins it.
Yeah.
So you think it's going to be another blowout, or do we get a good series?
We get a decent. I feel like they're all close games, comes down to the wire, but I do think some about it. The Thieves, and later in the year, they tend to beat OpTic. Now OpTic 3-1.
3-1 Thieves?
Yeah.
I think these on LAN could have potentially be some absolute bangers of hardpoint maps.
Oh, 100%.
I think those teams could have some great hardpoint maps.
Yeah, that'd be definitely a one to watch.
But like you did mention though, as a squad later in the year, this Thieves team is more battle tested with more experience together in these big moments, end of year tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this isn't champs, so not at that level. But I that's a good point. It's a valid point. I would think right now OpTic are a little bit hotter coming into the major because I think it's pretty safe to say OpTic are the favorite for this major and the best team in the game right now.
Yep.
But Thieves they're quietly having a very, very, very good split at 4-1. And because of the noise that Vegas was making winners, and Faze struggling a little bit and OpTic looking really good, these have kind of just like quietly slid under the radar as like our 2 seed or 3 seed, whatever they are. They look very good.
Mm-hmm. Kenny's coming around too later in the year, and Octane is playing a lot better.
Yeah, Kenny had a crazy match on Sunday against Rocker. Yeah, Octane, you said, is playing better. Draza also seems to be having a lot more good moments where he was having a lot of bad maps early in the year. He seems to be playing better. Just classic Thieves. Envoy was their best player early on, and now everybody else is rounding into form.
Yeah, and Octane loves to just go off against OpTic, I feel like, every time.
I 100% agree. Octane just likes to play against big name teams. I feel like he likes that.
He likes
to pop off. Yeah, he's a player that he plays up to the moment.
Yeah,
He always
100%.
seems to play good when it matters most.
That's why those online qualifiers, he's like, nah.
Yeah,
I'm
and I feel
good.
like, I mean, I will never know because I'll never be in the position where I'm a world champ. But I feel like after you've won a world champion, like multiple championships, at some point, like just playing these online matches, it's hard to motivate yourself. I feel like
Yeah,
when you're a vet that's won a ring.
he did play. I think he had the highest KD for the online stages this
Oh yeah, they
time
played
around.
incredible this split. Best they've ever played online to my memory.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But we get OpTic Faze, a classic matchup down here in the losers bracket. One of them goes out top 3. Do we see OpTic make back-to-back finals, or do we see Faze make a trip back to their normal home finals?
Well, it was a bit of a banger the match also as well. And
this is a Oh, never mind. I was gonna say this is a rematch year, winners round 2, but that is not true. That was Thieves Faze.
And OpTics, I feel like they got Faze numbers still. Some about 3-2, close series. OpTic wins out the search.
Okay, I think
Game
it's
5.
it's definitely a realistic possibility here. You got OpTic 3-2. That leads us to our grand finals. Thieves versus OpTic. I think definitely a very realistic one. Two of our better teams in the game. Probably two teams coming to this major that I would say are in the top 4 for favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And who you got taking it in a best of 7? Thieves would obviously have veto advantage, so that could play a factor for you.
I have this series going Game 7, which I want all series to go to in the finals. And I'm gonna take the Thieves 4-3. Another heartbreak for OpTic, but it's just set up for OpTic winning champs.
I like it. I put it down. Thieves 4-3. I like it. I think honestly we're gonna have pretty different brackets. I don't know. Maybe I'll get into it. And maybe I'll predict pretty similar. We're definitely gonna be in the same in some spots, but we're gonna have slightly different brackets. I think. Who knows? I definitely have Thieves as one of those teams I'm considering picking to win. Everybody knows I kind of like to go with the flow randomly. I'll maybe change my mind on what I thought I was going to do as I see the matches come through, but we're going to be slightly different, I think, at least in some of our like earlier round predictions. So that'll be fun because I remember last time we were very similar. I think we both picked Surge to win, and they obviously ended up getting shotgunned by Faze in that Game 5 round 11, and our brackets were chalked. But I'm hoping either your bracket's good or mine is good because usually like once a year, like when it was Kyle and I, one of us would have like a crazy bracket where we finished in like the top 50 or something in the world in our brackets, or like my MW champs bracket's like the famous one where I was like almost top 10. But like I want one of us to have a good bracket, so I'm gonna erase your bracket here. People saw it. You'll have it saved, but I'm gonna go quick erase this, go back, get rid of all these scores here, and get set up.
I wonder, has anyone ever like got a perfect bracket?
I don't think so because like they would always. I know like in the past at a lot of champs they would do like the challenge where like if you got a perfect bracket you would win something, but it had to do like you had to have map counts also, which that's damn near impossible.
Yeah, basically just like March Madness bracket. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean it's damn near impossible to get. Like I don't think it's impossible. I think getting a perfect bracket in terms of like matchups is pretty realistic. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say pretty realistically possible. I think it's definitely possible to get a perfect bracket just like based on getting the matchups right. But getting it with map counts, I think, is like that's pretty crazy. I don't know how you could ever do that. Like just one map you're off and it doesn't count. Like that's almost impossible.
Yeah, that'd be crazy though. Someone actually do that.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of like I don't really think that it'll ever happen with map counts, but I could see a world where at some point, if somebody hasn't already, they get all the matches right. And hopefully it's the bracket you guys are about to see. All the matches correct. I'm going to go into mine. I kind of gave my thoughts on some of the matches as you went through them, but I know early on when I was seeing your top of your winners bracket, I think we're going to be pretty similar. I actually had the same map count. I think OpTic is going to take out Boston 3-1. I think OpTic loses the control in this series, and that's kind of my common theme. I think OpTic is the favorite, but like we'll talk about this maybe at the end of some of the favorites, like why you think they'll win or won't win. And spoiler alert for me, for OpTic, I think it's pretty clear. It's their control would be the reason why they won't win. I got no doubts in their hard point. Feel good enough about their search, but like if OpTic were to lose, I would think we'd come down at the end of the weekend and say it was probably because they just couldn't win a control.
Yeah, very fair.
And that becomes more prevalent when we get to the grand final when there's multiple controls in the series. And if they're playing a team like a Toronto or a very good control team, they're basically handing them 2 free map wins, and you can't be doing that in the final. So I've got OpTic 3-1. I think they lose the control, and that's a concern for them all weekend. I actually agreed with you on Vegas on the same map count as well. I think Vegas is going to win 3-2. This New York team doesn't move me. I think if you would give me like 10 matches, I'd probably pick New York to win like 6 of them. I'd say like New York probably more often than not would beat Vegas, but there's something about this Vegas team. They've got a lot of momentum. It's almost like they have a lot to lose, obviously, because they need CDL points, but in a way, it feels like they're just playing with house money and have nothing to lose because, like, it feels like they shouldn't be here, and yet here they are. So, you know what I mean? It kind of feels like, nothing to lose mentality, just go out there and just ball.
Yeah.
Like, even though it clearly isn't, like, they have a lot to lose, they have a champ seat on the line, but, like, it feels like they're not supposed to be here. They're the underdog, and that's always a good spot to be because you got a lot of momentum. So, I'm going to take Vegas 3-2. I think that this is they win 2-4-5. I think they're down 2-1 after the control, and they win 2 straight.
Okay, yeah, definitely. New territory for Vegas.
Vegas is the same thing as OpTic, though. If you look back at this tournament and say, why didn't they win or why didn't they make the run to top 3, it's going to be their control. They are just brutal at the game mode.
Yeah.
And if any team lets in Expo against them, I'm going to lose full because they're so bad at Asilo and Hotel. Just veto that map and make them play one of the other 2. The strategy is so obvious and teams are just letting Expo through against them. I don't understand. Moving down to the bottom, I also agreed with you on map count on this one. I got Thieves 3-0 over Minnesota. Minnesota 0-12 against Thieves. I'm not going to pick them to win this match for sure, but I'm just going to say let's continue the trend. I think these are 2 teams on a different level. I think, like you said, Thieves are rounding into form, and Minnesota is falling off more and more. You got to pick 3-0s because they happen, and to me, this is an obvious candidate for one. Do I think Minnesota could win a map or 2? Sure, but I think it's a very long shot. I think it's probably the longest shot of the entire winners bracket for Minnesota to win.
Yeah, 100%.
I think I can see all other 7 teams winning their match. I can even see a world where Boston is more likely to win than Minnesota. Which is sad for me to say because everybody knows I do like Minnesota.
Man, they had so much potential.
Yeah,
went downhill.
Team with a lot of good players, it just doesn't work. Then, like we said, we got the classic matchup. Surge versus Faze. You picked Faze reverse sweep in this one, right?
Yep.
I'm going to go the other direction. Not a reverse sweep, but I think it also goes 5. But I think Surge win it in a 3-2 fashion. I think Surge come out and dominate the map 1. I think it's going to be like a 250 to like 120. I think they're going to come out with a statement and just punch Faze in the mouth. Faze is going to punch back and win the map 2. I think then Surge win the control. I think they just trade maps. And then I think Faze forces the game 5 with a map 4 win. And I think Surge wins in like a 6-4 fashion. Not around 11 this time. They're not going to go all the way there. It's going to be like a 6-4 map 5 win for Surge. And they take out Faze. Reason being mostly because Surge is in better form to me right now. Faze are always Faze, so you can never count them out. They're probably still the favorite to win this match because they're Faze. But I don't know. Surge just seem to be finding their form at the right time. So I'm just going to go off that momentum and say Surge are going to keep it rolling and they'll take out Faze.
Okay, yeah.
That's the only spot we differ in the winners bracket. Losers bracket wise, man, there are a couple dilemmas I have. Everybody knows I like to pick Boston a lot, and Toronto have looked rough, but I agreed with your logic. I do think Scrappy has Bean's number when they play. The Scrappy and Hexy duo has Bean's number. I haven't liked Boston as much since they dropped Vivid. I like Kremp. I think he's a good player, but for whatever reason, this team just doesn't seem to work as well. I've got Ultra in a 3-1.
Okay,
Mostly because I think Boston would probably win a map 5 if it goes there for whatever reason. Then,
good matches.
New York, Florida. I did talk to you about how I think Florida could be a team that could make a run. I think Breach and Ultra are also vulnerable teams right now. I think like Florida could shockingly get a top 6. Having said that, I think they're going to lose to New York still. And I'm going to say it's going to be a 3-2, actually. Something about this Florida team, I just think they are scrappy and they will keep things close. I like Fellow a lot as a player. And I think, to me, a Fellow team will just never get blown out in a series. It just like, they're just, especially on LAN, they're just always going to be so competitive in that search and destroy. And I don't like New York search and destroy that much. I like it enough to have them win a map 5, but I think this is going to be like a Florida steal map 2 and then steal map 4 to force a game 5.
Okay.
New York wins like 1-3-5. Another trading of maps, but I got subliners coming on top. It's too hard to pick Florida after an 0-5 online split.
Very valid.
Then we get to Minnesota versus Royal Ravens. This is where I have a dilemma because I do think Minnesota are the better team, and I think their backs are against the wall. They're going to have to come out firing, and they need to win this, especially if Vegas is winning their first match. Like Minnesota has to win this to keep pace. I don't think they're going to, though. I think Ravens are going to beat them in a 3-2 fashion.
That was, it's very possible, honestly.
I just think Minnesota, like the only teams they beat went 0-10 this stage.
And on LAN.
Yeah, and it was on LAN. Like every time they played somebody online, and like London, like where are they? If you had to say where they're trending right now, Minnesota's definitely trending down. London, as this stage went on, has looked better and better. Like they looked abysmal that first week. But they've looked better and better. They took out Vegas, who we all think is a pretty good team. They went 4-1. Their only loss was to London. I don't know. This London team, I feel like on LAN, Scraps is going to be shooting. I think Asim's going to be shooting. And one thing I'll say is I think Attach, like he's not playing, but he's safe. I think Cammy's still pretty safe on a roster, regardless of what happens the rest of this year. I think Bance could find his way onto like a London roster. I think he could be somewhat safe. I think Afro's going to be safe because people like his talent. I think Fame, people are intrigued by his talent. Like I think most of the players in this Minnesota roster are safe. Everybody on London is fighting for their pro career.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Scraps, I don't know if he has many other options besides London. Asim, I think, will be fine because everybody knows he's a very good player. But like Nasty, I don't think he has many other options besides London. Like overall, this team, Yuli, obviously, he needs to show something crazy to get another chance. Like they're all fighting for the CDL lives, where I don't really think everybody on Rocker is. So I think there's something to show for that.
100%, just more than the match, fight for their lives.
I think this is a Scraps and Asim masterclass. It's a Asim revenge game. We always like to joke about that because he's played for like half the league.
True.
But it's an Asim revenge game. This whole lower side of the bracket, if you want to count when he played for Faze and BO4, this whole lower side of the bracket is a revenge game for Asim. He gets to play his old team Rocker, and then he could play his old team Faze or Gorillas. Just the London and Asim revenge tour, but I got them winning 3-2. Then we go to Faze Gorillas. I'm not even going to spend any time 3-0 Faze. That is just feels bad for Gorillas. They got to play Faze or Surge. They're getting 3-0. Gorillas are not winning a map this event.
Yeah. Two good teams, yeah, they're not winning.
Yeah, maybe they steal one, but if Gorillas win a series, we got to have like a forfeit or something. We got to do something crazy.
But if Gorillas had Hook, we'd be talking a little different.
I don't even know if we would. I don't know if Hook would hit this form on this
Probably
team.
not, but yeah.
Let's move up to elimination round 2 here, though. Toronto, New York. We already talked about it when you were doing yours. This top half of the elimination bracket is brutal. You don't want to fall down into this pit. But I agree with what you had. I'm going to say it goes map 5. I think you had Toronto winning 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1.
I'm going to say Toronto wins at 3-2. Like, we both kind of agree. We also both said, like, I don't know why. I just don't really like watching this New York team play.
I told you this like the other day. I'm like, I don't know. I don't really hate the players. I just don't like watching them.
Yeah, I have nothing against any of the players. I actually really like Kismet because I love that he just is just all his whole mantra is I will do everything for my team to win. I love players like that. I love Kismet as a player. I think Hydra is disgusting. Skies is a great player who's really been underwhelming this year. Skies is like feels like he has a weird role in this team. Like he always has no engagements.
Yeah, he's always like 12 and 10.
Yeah, where everybody else is 20 and 15. Like everybody else is like 20 and 20, and Skies is like 9 and 9.
Yeah.
And I like Priest. I've always liked Priest. Like this is a team I like all the players, but I just like don't enjoy watching them play. And maybe that's my bias coming in. Like I want them to be eliminated. But these are two really good teams, and I think either of them could make a run. Like I think the winner of this could very easily make a run to Sunday. Like I'm not going to be shocked if the winner of this gets top 3. But I like Toronto, and yeah, I think the issue for New York is pacing.
Yeah.
Like generally, when I look at a scoreboard and I see everybody on it has 40 engagements and one guy has 25, that's an issue. And it seems like every time I look at that, Skies just has no engagements. And it's weird because Skies can be a fast player, and I know Skies is a great player. Every single person on this New York team is a very good player.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Skies even last year for Florida? He ran the sub like on some maps.
Yeah, he was like a flex player for them because I mean they had Dave on the main for a while, and then they had Big Wake and Vivid running subs full time, and like for a lot of it, Skies was running a sub on like Bocage and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird makeup. Like the team fits though. Like Kiz, your dirty work sub, Hydra, your more slay heavy baiting sub, Priesta a true flex, and then Sky's a true main. Like everything works and they can speed it up. But like I feel like in Major 1, why they won is because they were all just flying. Remember that? That's what we talked about after Major 1. It was like New York won because they played at a different pace. Everybody's flying, and it feels like Skies has slowed down, and that has slowed down this team.
Yeah, 100%. I think they're trying to play too correct, maybe.
Yeah, and just like you got talent, you can out talent a lot of people, which that's not always the correct way to play because sometimes you do have to get down to the fundamentals. But I agree, they're trying to play too correct at times instead of just letting their instincts go. They're all good players that know how to play.
Yeah, they're all super talented.
Yeah, and they're gonna in most series they can out talent. Like there's, in my opinion, there's not a team in the CDL that will just dominate them talent wise. Like they can fight with anybody in the entire league talent wise.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
There's no team that will. I'm not saying they're the most talented team, but there's no team that will just go out there and fully out talent them.
Yeah.
Speaking of out talent, though, Phase 3-0 London. In the bottom here, London's little Cinderella run ends after one match where they take out Rocker. I got Faze 3-0ing them, sending them home. But yeah, I hope London's there. I could see a world where they make it scrappy. Faze underestimates them and London steals a map or two or something. But no way I'm picking them to beat Faze. That would be a upset of the century. Then we move on to the top. OpTic versus Vegas. As much as I want to say Vegas keeps it competitive, I got another 3-0. I think we're going to see a lot of 3-0s on this Saturday. I think OpTic beats them 3-0. I think it's a dominant hardpoint, like a very dominant. And then I think it's a close search and destroy, like a 10 or 11 round matchup. But I think OpTic takes them out. And then Control, two subpar Control teams, but I'm going to bet on OpTic because they can at least win Controls where Vegas is very bad. I feel like OpTic will just get rid of Expo, and then we'll play one of the two maps that Vegas can't win on, and OpTic will take them out, despite both of them being bad Control teams.
Okay, yeah, it's in the cards to play. It's not possible.
I just don't see a world where this goes map 5. I just think OpTic is just. I just don't see a world where Vegas can take a respawn off OpTic right now. If Vegas was even decent at Control, I would say this could easily go to a map 5. But like, I just don't think there's a world where OpTic loses a hard point against Vegas. So like at the very least, they have maps 1 and 4-1, and I just think in all likelihood OpTic's gonna win map 2 or 3, one of the two.
Yeah.
So like worst case, I see a 3-1, but I just think they'll run the first 3 maps.
It is kind of a Clayster revenge tour again.
And Clay always seems to play pretty good against OpTic too. Like he eliminated or didn't eliminate it, but he beat him winners round 1 at Cold War Champs with subliners. Then last year, obviously, he wasn't at Champs, didn't have much of a chance to play him. But Clay always does. He's one of those guys. He does get up to play against OpTic.
He'll be loud.
Oh yeah, he'll be screaming if they win that map 1. Then we got Thieves versus Surge. This is where our brackets could get interesting because obviously you picked Thieves to run through the winners bracket and win it all, and you have Surge losing first round. Everybody knows how I like to pick Surge, but I also really like Thieves. My favorite player in the league plays for Thieves, Mr. YY Kenny.
Such a good batch.
But the guy that I like to stand because everybody else hates him, Accuracy, is on Surge and maybe playing his best Call of Duty since World War II right now.
I would have to agree, yeah.
This stage, Accuracy is playing some of his best Call of Duty. Sib seemed to round into form this weekend. He looked very good in their series this weekend. Pred is Pred, and Mac is the X Factor. To me, I think Accuracy somewhat keeps up his play. I think Pred pops off per usual. I think Sib keeps it up. I think Mac does enough to be consistent. I think we see an Accuracy 1.05 in the series, a good series. I think we see a Pred normal, 1.1 to 1.2, a Mac 0.9, but I think we see a Sib masterclass. I think he completely outclasses Draza in this, and we see a 3-2 Surge win. I think it's going to be a Sib diff, a flex diff.
Okay.
Sib over Pred in this series. And that makes our brackets a little different here, where it doesn't change anything about this top of the losers bracket being a gauntlet, though, because Thieves are not a shabby team to go down there.
Yeah.
Face Ultra. Thieves, though, known for having good losers bracket runs. And I think nothing changes here. I think Thieves take out Ultra in a 3-1 fashion. I think Ultra are going to take the control. Thieves win 1-2-4.
Okay. Yeah.
And Ultra gets eliminated top 6, which honestly, considering they start in losers round 1, isn't the worst thing.
Yeah. It's not.
Get a couple wins in
Good,
and get wins
nice
against
little
Boston and
turnaround.
New York. Yeah, it's not like they show up here and beat like Florida and London. They show up and they beat 2 good teams, Boston and New York.
Be respectable.
But Thieves move on to another Sunday where we have grown accustomed to them getting to on LAN. But then we got Faze. They play Vegas. And I see this series going one of two ways. I see 3-0 or 3-2. For whatever reason, I just can't see a 3-1. That doesn't seem to be in the cards for me. And I'm trying to think, like, do I want to pick Vegas to get double 3-0'd out of the tournament? That seems wild considering how good they've looked. That would also mean Faze would be 9-0 so far, up to this point in the losers bracket. Oh, I just don't see a world where I pick Vegas to win this because it's Faze. But
yeah,
I'm gonna say it's a 3-2. I think Vegas do force it really close, but in the end, Faze edge them out in Search and Destroy, despite them both being very good search teams. But I like Faze to take out Vegas just because it's tough to imagine a world where Faze doesn't beat Vegas.
Yeah, and that you said that'll be Vegas' first Sunday.
That matches on Saturday.
Oh, never mind.
So if Vegas wins, they'll make it to their first Sunday.
Okay.
But they last time got stopped at the same stage. They finished top 6 also in Major 1 and last Major. So Vegas has been a match away from Sunday twice this year, if I can remember correctly, and they have not made it either time. But yeah, all the only matches played on Sunday are Elim round 4, winners finals, losers finals, and the finals.
Okay, I was looking at the wrong one. Yep.
Actually, is winners finals on Sunday, or do they actually play on? Yeah, it is on Sunday. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
That leaves us with Faze and Thieves. Elimination round 4. This is like a brutal one for me to predict. Like, I legit can't decide because every time I pick against Faze to not finish top 3, they go to the final. Mm-hmm. And it's so hard. Like, as weird as it sounds, like picking Faze to not make top 3 is like, what are you doing? Because they're just like always in top 3. But like Thieves also are just like that team that just always seems to do well towards the end of the year. I think Thieves are going to win. I hate predicting it this way, but I think Thieves are just in better form right now. I think they beat Faze 3-1. And the reason I say 3-1 is because I think if it goes map 5, I like Faze.
Yeah.
But I think Thieves win. Oh man, I think Thieves win. I think they win the 2 hard points at least. I think they're going to win, obviously, map 4 since I have them winning 3-1. But I don't know if they're going to lose map 2 or 3, but I think Faze is going to lose both hard points because they've been shaky in that mode. But I like Thieves to win both hard points, and then I don't know what they'll win map 2 or 3. Obviously, I think they'll win one of them, but I'm not sure which one because I don't love them in search or control, but I think they'll find a way to sneak one out. And I like them 3-1 in a close series, though. Like, I think this will be a 3-1 of like 10 points in hard point, a round 11, a 3-2 in control, then another like 20-point hard point. Like, I think this will be a lot of really close maps, and Faze will be looking at it like, man, we could have 3-0'd.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I think it'll be a very close match. Like, so close that I don't even feel confident in my prediction at all. Moving up to the top, OpTic versus Surge. I believe this is maybe what I picked as my finals in the last tournament, or like close to it, something like that. Winners finals, Surge, OpTic. You could argue, along with the team I have in losers bracket and Thieves, like 2 of the hottest teams right now, looking very good. Surge rounding into form. OpTic, obviously, the most dominant hardpoint team in the game. I actually think Surge are going to come out and win the map 1. If they come out, they shock the world. They maybe force OpTic to lose their first hardpoint of the stage in the map 1 here. I think OpTic bounces back somehow, though, and takes the Search. And then I think Surge takes the control. OpTic takes the map 4, and Surge close it in a map 5. And OpTic loses 3-2. Drop into the winners bracket. Maybe people don't expect that because, Surge probably not as good as OpTic right now. OpTic clearly the best hardpoint team, but I think Surge is able to take that map 1, and OpTic just doesn't recover and loses to map 5. Dropping OpTic to losers bracket for our classic matchup of OpTic versus Thieves. You got any thoughts on that? You shocked? I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are going to be picking OpTic in that one.
Well, they will be picking OpTic, but it's definitely not on the realm of possibilities when you have Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah, I want OpTic in the winners finals so bad because whoever comes out of that lower side is going to be a crazy matchup. Like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Minnesota is not going to be the team that makes it to winners finals out of that lower part of the bracket. But that lower part, we're either going to get to see Faze, Thieves, or Seattle play likely OpTic in the winners finals. Like, that is just any one of those matchups is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'll probably agree. I would not be shocked if any of Thieves, Faze, or Surge made it to winners finals. All of them would be like, yep, that makes sense.
It's kind of like a free for all type. All good.
It's 3 of our top 4, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I won't be shocked, but that leaves us with your champion, Thieves, versus OpTic. And we said it's always a blowout. I don't think it is a blowout this time, but I think the map 5 is a blowout, and I think OpTic wins like 6-1 in map 5.
Okay.
Take out Thieves, which leaves us with an OpTic versus Surge final. Surge obviously having taken out OpTic already in this tournament based on my bracket, so they get the veto advantage. I don't know where I want to go with this because OpTic clearly the favorite coming into this major, and that a lot of times doesn't work out. But like people were saying, this is probably the most dominant stage we've seen from a team since Faze at like Major 4 in Cold War, where they went out and dominated and won that major. I think we see something similar like that to OpTic because Surge aren't like the craziest control team. Now, if this was like Faze in the finals or like a Toronto or something in the finals, I would be worried for OpTic because of how good those teams are at control. But I like OpTic to keep this series close at the very least. I like Surge to keep it close. I do think this could be a potential 7 mapper. Obviously, OpTic lost 4-2 last major.
Yep.
I think I like OpTic to take the map 1. I think I like Surge to bounce back. Then I think OpTic are going to take 2 straight to make it a 3-1. I think Surge are going to force the map 7. And I think OpTic win the map 7. And I like OpTic to beat Surge 4-3. And OpTic are the major 4 champs.
Okay, I like it.
Very tough one to predict though, because I honestly my top 4 with Thieves, Faze, Surge, and OpTic, I was battling to decide who I thought was going to win, but I just like OpTic's form too much right now.
Dan Ghosty gets his first chip potentially on your bracket.
Yep, and what's his name? Who gets his first chip under the OpTic banner, which would probably be a great feeling. But I don't think it's one that I'm crazy confident in, despite how good OpTic looks, because there are a lot of teams I think that could round into form at this major and get it done.
Yeah. Does this if this holds true, is Dan Ghosty in the rookie of the year? You know, maybe number 1 potentially.
I think he would have to be in the discussion for sure, because that means he would have come into the team and gotten a 2nd and a 1st.
Yeah.
With a crazy losers bracket in 1, and then it doesn't obviously really matter how he wins this one. If he wins it, like a win is a win. Whether it comes from losers or straight winners bracket, like it'd be a win. And at that point, he would have arguably a better year than Scrappy already, right? Stats wise, I think Scrappy will always probably have the better stats.
Yeah, it's
like individual stats, KD wise and stuff. But like, yeah, I mean, Scrappy has the win, and then what, like a top 4, and then
top 4,
like a top 6 or something at the other major they had.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then obviously it would depend on how the rest of Major 5 would go. Like if one of them were to win Major 5, it'd be a no doubt because one of them would have 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Dan Ghosty having a 2nd and a 1st, he would definitely insert himself into that rookie of the year conversation, and you could make a very good argument he should be 1st.
Yeah. What he brought to the team too.
Yeah. Because I mean, regardless of what his stats look like, they went from a dead last and a like 3rd or 4th, whatever they had with Illy, to a 2nd and a 1st. Yeah, that would certainly propel him into the argument, whether it's he's having crazy stats. Obviously, he did change something with the team if they instantly started making every final since he joined.
Yeah. That would be just wild to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is it for our predictions. Couple things, we can just wrap it up and get people out of here, but like a couple random things I want to do. We always do it. Of the 4 teams starting in losers bracket, so Gorillas, London, Florida, and Toronto. I think it's a pretty obvious answer, but which one can you see making a deep run? Is it Toronto? I feel like we usually have this question because it's more like up for debate, but I feel like the answer is pretty obviously Toronto, unless you have maybe something different.
It's Toronto.
Yeah, I mean that's usually it's a little bit more competitive because there's not like our defending champs sitting down there.
Yeah.
And there's not two teams that have gone 0-5 in Florida and London, or Florida and LAG, and then a limping London team.
Yeah, one team maybe doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, and I mean, two of them are 0-5, and London's looked pretty bad. But yeah, I think the obvious answer is Toronto there. You think Florida, London, Gorillas, any of them can get like a top 6?
I just don't see it.
Personally. Yeah, I don't either. If I had to pick one that's most likely, though, I actually think it would be Florida. Like, not counting Toronto, of the 3. I think I actually would say Florida, just because I don't think there's a world where LAG can beat Faze or Surge. And I don't think there's a world where Minnesota can beat Faze or Surge. So I don't like them in the bottom. But I do think there's like a world where Florida could play Vegas and beat them, and then play like Breach if Breach is able to upset Toronto and win. Like, I think there's a world where Florida, if they get the right bracket, could beat like Vegas and then Breach.
Yeah.
I'll say Florida, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I'd probably pick Florida out of LAG and London as well.
And then winners bracket wise, is you like, who do you think could blow out the top of the winners bracket? Because I feel like OpTic, Thieves, and like either the Faze or Seattle, like those are all the obvious teams. Do you think like a Vegas, a Breach, a Minnesota could blow up the winners bracket and make it to winners final and shock everyone? Or which team between because I would say like OpTic, even subliners are probably a favorite over Vegas, even though we both picked Vegas. Then Thieves, and then Surge and Faze both. But like between like Minnesota, Vegas, Breach, who do you think has the best chance to make noise and make it to a winners final?
I want to say Vegas between those 3.
I agree, because of their path. Like, Vegas at least gets New York first, where like they still have to play OpTic in round 2. But OpTic tends to lose early on in winners bracket a lot, regardless of how good they look. Like, I could see a world where Vegas gets New York and then Boston to make it to winners, because like as good as OpTic is, I picked them to win, but like they struggle in winners bracket a lot in the CDL era. They like almost never win the winners round 1.
They definitely is possible.
Yeah. Other than that, like, I think that's pretty much it. Like, we had a pretty long episode here, given the bracket predictions. I got nothing else if you want to wrap it up.
Yeah, I got nothing else either.
All right. So that's going to do it for this one. Obviously, if you guys are on YouTube and you enjoyed the little visual portion we had today with the bracket and everything, drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Usually a lot more interaction on the bracket prediction videos, because obviously more people tune in to watch majors than regular season matches. So we're at about like 955 subs right now, roughly somewhere around there. If you guys enjoyed and want to hit that sub button to help us hit our goal of 1,000 by the end of the CDL season, we're approaching. Obviously, Major 4, 5, and then Champs are getting close. So if you guys want to help us hit our goal, pretty sure to start the year or in the off season, we were at like 300 subs. So regardless of whether we hit that or not, tripling our subs roughly is a pretty good year so far. I would consider tripling a pretty good success. But we appreciate all the support regardless. We enjoy reading all the comments. We enjoy interacting down in the comments. I want to hear your major predictions. Drop them down below. Or on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. Seeing a lot of traction on there, so we appreciate you guys. That's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys have fun watching the major and watching the NBA playoffs. I'm praying Giannis is coming back. Obviously, everybody knows I'm a big Bucks fan, so I'm praying Giannis comes back and we get some good basketball. It's going to be a good weekend, though. Got playoff basketball to watch. Brock and I potentially going to the Bucks game on Wednesday night for Game 2. And yeah, we got playoff basketball and a major to watch. So looking forward to that. Going to do it for this, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.